This is Ri Jong-chol celebrating his love for his wife. These pictures, obtained exclusively by Al Jazeera, show Mr. Ri partying after being accused of committing a murder unlike any other. Mr. Ri is a North Korean chemist, suspected of cooking up a lethal nerve agent for a state-sponsored murder.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's half-brother has been killed.
CCTV footage
reportedly assassinated in Malaysia. King Jong-un's leader Kim Jong-un reportedly
killed in a planned attack.
We strongly believe that the Ri Jong-chol had a hand in doing this.
The karaoke song is a North Korean classic. It follows the teachings of Kim Il-sung, the founder of communist North Korea. The Kim dynasty taught that women are a powerful force that push through revolution and construction. The Korean peninsula is divided after a war in the 1950s between the communist North and the American-led troops in the South. Kim Il-sung called himself the supreme leader and ruled with an iron fist over people cut off from the outside world. Then came Kim Jong-il, his son. He had 3 boys with 2 women. The eldest son was tipped to take over. His name was Kim Jong-nam.
King Jong-nam is actually a princeling and the favorite grandson of Kim Il-sung. So he was raised believing that he would be the next North Korean leader.
But it didn't turn out that way. This is a story of a feud in the family that rules the world's most reclusive state. It begins in 2001, when Kim Jong-nam took a secret trip to Disneyland in Tokyo. He travelled on a fake Dominican passport with a false Chinese name, but he was spotted and deported by the Japanese authorities. Nam had brought shame on the family and the nation, so their father decided he wouldn't be president. Nam ended up in exile in the gambling haven of Macau, a former Portuguese colony now part of China. He often visited Malaysia, his favourite holiday destination. While there, he was briefing Western spies.
Kim Jong-nam was actually a very good friend, nice guy. He's our regular customer too.
Alex Hwang kept tabs on him for South Korean intelligence. He instructed staff to keep his cutlery for DNA samples.
I always checking about the North Korea people, how they doing in Malaysia.
Nam's father, Kim Jong-il, died in 2011. It was his younger son, Kim Jong-un, who took power. He'd always been resentful of his older half-brother and soon began a purge against Nam's supporters.
His life is a very dangerous situation. Chang Sang-taek, his uncle was executed in North Korea.
Kim Jong-nam's powerful uncle and ally, then a 4-star general, was accused of treachery. A statement called him human scum, worse than a dog. Betrayal meant execution, not just for him, but his allies and relatives. The general's nephew was at that time North Korea's ambassador to Malaysia and a friend of Nam.
After the purge, the ambassador together with his family were called back to Pyongyang, and we believe that they have been executed as well.
After the purge, Kim Jong-un wanted to show he was more than just the little brother. He launched nuclear-capable missiles over neighbouring states. US President Trump called him Little Rocket Man.
Rocket Man, Rocket Man, Rocket Man.
The United Nations responded by tightening trade sanctions. To get around them, Kim Jong-un sent agents across Asia. The karaoke chemist is thought to be one of them. On paper, Ri Jong-chol was working for an IT company, but the boss says he almost never turned up. Al Jazeera has obtained documents that show he was running a massive import-export operation. They expose a company that Mr. Ri worked with. The paperwork says it shipped hundreds of tons of soap noodles used for making bars of soap. An intelligence source has told us he was smuggling other items in the shipments.
Because of the lack in the law enforcement in this country especially, so North Koreans are able to get away with money laundering and the illicit smuggling of goods that enable them to earn hard currency for the regime.
The company, Octoplus Resources, is based on this residential street. The overseas China bank ran its account. It's believed the company was used to facilitate the murder. An Octoplus representative said their documents had been manipulated by a third party, and Mr. Ri still owes them money.
I believe some of the chemical substance was smuggled through the legal trade measures, and this is how the nerve agent VX was brought into Malaysia.
In February 2017, Kim Jong-nam was on his way back from the holiday island of Langkawi. He was transferring at Kuala Lumpur Airport. A group of North Korean men also arrived, but they were not there to catch a plane. One of them met a young Indonesian woman, seen here on CCTV.
She was under the belief that she was going to do a prank show, because in the past she has been doing several prank shows. That was the reason why she went to the airport on that day in question and met one of the North Koreans.
One woman had been instructed to smear liquid on a man she didn't know. It's thought another rubbed a damp towel on his face. The CCTV revealed one to be a Vietnamese woman, Doan Thi Huong. Indonesian Siti Aisyah was also arrested. They say they'd been duped by people posing as producers of a comedy show.
4 North Koreans were involved. They changed their clothes immediately after the incident, in the airport toilet.
Each girl appears to have smeared a chemical on Nam's face, which when combined, became a fatal VX nerve agent.
They didn't know what's going on. They did not even change their clothes. Now, if they knew that it was VX, and if they knew how lethal that VX could be, why weren't they wearing the glove?
The Supreme Leader's brother tried to save his own life. Nam was rushed to a clinic but soon collapsed and died. Ri Jong-chol's car was used to drive the North Korean men away. Some believe Un's plan was always to make a deal with the West once he had secured absolute power by taking out his brother.
The assassination plot is not only to silence him, but also to eliminate a potential for a regime change strategy that might be executed by the United States or any powers trying to interfere in North Korean affairs.
Having spent more than 2 years in jail, Siti Aisyah was released on March the 11th after intervention from Malaysia's Attorney General. Doan Thi Huong was sentenced on a lesser charge of causing hurt by potentially deadly means and released 2 months later. The only suspects facing trial for Nam's murder are now free. At the time of the murder, police arrested Mr. Ri and several others. On the day he was detained, he'd been driving a car with a North Korean diplomatic plate. At his apartment, they found 4 phones, 5 computer devices, a bottle of chloride, and $38,000.
They found a lot of money, and the question is, where did he get all this money?
Officers didn't test any of his belongings for VX and only interviewed him once.
The police have been not very, I would say, objective, and in that sense, they're not very competent.
After 2 weeks, Malaysian police let Mr. Ri go. He flew to freedom in China. Other suspects were released later as part of a diplomatic agreement between North Korea and Malaysia. Politicians are now asking what North Korea's been up to and whether the government even knows.
The assassination of Kim Jong-nam exposes Malaysia, where you have a foreign government involved in activities that might be detrimental to Malaysia itself. Why did the Malaysian government allow this for such a long time?
Apart from this video from a restaurant in China, Mr. Ree's whereabouts are unknown. It seems likely that the karaoke chemist will get away with murder.
I think there is no way to put the North Korean on trial ever again. There was a golden opportunity to hold them accountable, so we have completely lost that.